In this part of the demonstration, I will show you how to log into your Qualcomm. When you get back to your truck, you will likely see a pop-up on your screen that looks like this. It will say, "Please log in an active driver." Go ahead and tap the clear button to get rid of the pop-up. Then tap the login button on the home screen. One driver from your team now needs to enter their username and password on this screen. I am going to enter our company's test username and password for demonstration purposes. Make sure you leave this here set to active, then tap the OK button. It may take a second to log in. When this screen shows up, you will see your username listed here. Eventually, your name will show up. You are not fully logged in until your name shows up. When you see your full name, that means you are successfully logged in. Now it's time to log in the other driver from your team. To do this, tap the Add button. This will return you to the login screen. The other driver from your team should now enter their username and password. I will once again enter our company's test username and password. Leave this here set to inactive, then tap the OK button. You will now see a second ID appear. Eventually that driver's name will show up as well. As before, that driver is not fully logged in until the driver's name shows up. Once the name appears, it is time to decide which driver will be driving the truck. If driver 1 will be driving, no action is required. That driver is already the active driver. If driver 2 will be driving, this driver will need to be made the active driver. To do this, tap driver 2 to highlight that driver. Tap the change button. You will see a prompt asking you if you want to switch which driver is active. Tap the OK button. You will be prompted to enter driver 2's password. Go ahead and enter that. Tap the OK button. You can now see that driver 2 is the active driver. All driving time will always be assigned to the active driver. So it is important to remember to make sure you are set as the active driver anytime you drive the truck. You now know how to log into your Qualcomm and designate the active driver. In this part of the demonstration, I will show you how to log your day. From the home screen, tap the HOS Hours of Service button. This will bring you to the HOS system. In the top left corner, you will see your name. To the left of your name, you will see a green dot. This green dot means that OmniVision Granger is the active driver. The green dot also means that any automatically captured driving time will be assigned to OmniVision Granger and placed on line 3 of that driver's logs. To select the other member of your team, tap the down arrow next to OmniVision Granger. This will open a list of drivers assigned to the truck. To switch to the other driver, tap driver 2. You will now see a white dot to the left of driver 2. This white dot means that driver 2 is set as the inactive driver and no driving time will be assigned to that driver. Remember from the last demonstration that you can switch which driver is active from the login button on the home screen. While you are doing anything in the electronic log system, please be sure that the correct driver is selected. For example, driver 2 is presently selected. Let's say the other driver needs to make changes on their logs. The other driver would need to tap the down arrow and select their name from the list to make changes to their own logs. The top line showing the white or green dot and the driver's name is visible on every electronic log screen. This makes it easy to see which driver's logs and clocks are being viewed or edited. In the top right corner, you'll see how much time is left on your clock. Below this, you will see a variety of tabs. Logging through your day is all done on the Status tab. The status screen shows you a lot of helpful information. It shows your current status, when the status started, what time it is now, and how long you've been in this status. More information can be seen by scrolling down. This line shows how many hours you will gain back on your clock at midnight of the next day. Below that, you can see how many miles you have driven today. When you first log in, you'll be placed on duty. If you are not going to be performing any on-duty activities, you will want to change your status right away. To do this, tap the Change button. This brings you to the status change screen. On this screen, you will see your current status and how long you've been in that status. Below this, you will see your status choices. Off is for off-duty and corresponds to line 1 on a paper log. SB stands for sleeper berth and corresponds to line 2 on paper logs. DRV stands for driving and corresponds to line 3 on paper logs. On stands for on duty, not driving, and corresponds to line 4 on paper logs. Since you are already on duty, you will be unable to change to that status. That is why it is grayed out. Let's go ahead and switch to sleeper berth. To do so, tap the SB option. Below this line is an option to enter a note. This isn't really necessary when going into the sleeper berth, so we'll skip that for now. To complete the status change from on duty to sleeper berth, or in other words, to move from line 4 to line 2, just tap the OK button. The status screen will show up again. It now shows sleeper as the status, with a new start time and duration. The best way to continue this demonstration is to show you how to log your day from start to finish. Let's assume you start your day in the sleeper berth status or on line 2. The first thing you are likely to do is your pre-trip inspection. Prior to doing this, you will need to put yourself on duty. To do this, tap the Change button. You are once again brought to the status change screen. This time, tap the On option. For on-duty events, bar none requires a note to show what you are doing. There are two ways to enter a note. You can either tap here in the note field and type out a note, or you can tap this arrow to bring up a list of pre-filled notes. You can see additional notes by scrolling down. Now, since you are doing a pre-trip inspection, go ahead and tap Pre-Post-Trip Inspection. You'll notice that it shows up now in your note box. Now tap the OK button to complete the status change. You will be returned to the status screen, now showing that you are on duty. You are now ready to exit the truck and perform your pre-trip inspection. Upon returning to the truck, 5 or 10 minutes later, your Qualcomm will still show you an on-duty status. To switch from on-duty status to driving, just start driving. Your Qualcomm will automatically show you in driving status when the wheels start rolling. If you stop driving within 3 minutes, you will be switched back to on-duty and no driving time will be registered. Also, if you stop driving before reaching 15 miles per hour and before going 2 miles, no driving time will be registered. After driving for a couple of hours, it may be time to stop and fuel. When you stop at the fuel island, the first thing to do is put yourself on duty and enter a note. So grab the Qualcomm and take note of what status you are in. If the Qualcomm already shows you are in on-duty status, you will only need to enter a note. I will show you how to do that in a moment. If the Qualcomm still shows you in driving status, you will need to change your status and enter a note. Here's how to do that. To put yourself on duty, tap the Change button, then tap the On option. Since you are going on duty, you will need to enter a note. Tap the down arrow to open up the available pre-filled notes. Now tap the Fuel option to select that note. Now tap OK to complete the status change. You are now in on-duty status and ready to get out and fuel. Now I mentioned earlier that when you stopped, the Qualcomm may already show you an on-duty status. If that happens, you still need to go and enter a note for that on-duty status. Here's how to do that. Tap the Change button. Since you are already in on-duty status, you do not need to pick a new status. Notice it's grayed out. Just jump right down to the note field and tap the drop-down arrow and pick a note. Now to add that note to our current status without changing our status, just tap the Add Note button over here. Now go ahead and tap Yes at the prompt that asks you if you want to add this note to your current duty status. Now that your note has been updated, just tap the Cancel button. This will get you out of this screen without changing your status. You are now in on-duty status and ready to get out and fuel. Once you are done fueling and back in the truck, you will either start driving or you'll take a break. If you are ready to hit the road, just start driving and you'll be automatically placed on driving status. If you are going to go into the truck stop and take a break, you will need to take yourself off duty. To do this, tap the Change button. Now tap the Off option. You do not need to enter a note when going off duty, so go ahead and tap OK to complete the status change. When you return to your truck after your break, just go ahead and start driving. You will be automatically placed in driving status. After driving a few more hours, you may want to stop and take a break at a rest area or a truck stop. When you stop to park, the first thing to do is put yourself in sleeper berth or off duty. Depending on how long you have been stopped, the Qualcomm will show you in either driving or on duty status. Either way, grab your Qualcomm and tap the change button. Now if you are going to use the facilities, tap the off option. If you are going to the sleeper berth, tap the SB option. There is no need to enter a note for sleeper berth or off-duty status. Just tap the OK button to complete the status change. When you return to your truck after your break, just go ahead and start driving. You'll be automatically placed in driving status. Next, you arrive at the receiver to deliver your load. If you are directed to a waiting area, once you stop, you can put yourself in sleeper berth. If you are directed to back right into the dock, you need to put yourself on duty. Prior to handing paperwork over, select the note Arrived, Departed, Shipper, Receiver. At this point, you will either be relieved of duty or you will unload the truck. If you are going to unload the truck, you will need to add a note to your status showing that. So tap the change button, select Unloading from the notes list, tap the Add Note button, tap Yes to confirm, tap Cancel to get out of this screen without changing your status because you are already on duty. On the other hand, if you are relieved of duty while the receiver unloads, you can change your status. If you are going to be in your sleeper berth, put yourself in sleeper berth status. If you are going to be in the break area at the receiver, put yourself in off-duty status. Once you are done at the receiver, return to your truck and take note of how many hours you have remaining. You can see this in the upper right corner of your screen. If you have enough hours left, just go ahead and depart to the nearest truck stop or rest area. You will be automatically placed in driving status. Once you are parked for the evening, put yourself in sleeper berth status. If you are at the receiver and are out of hours or will not have enough time to get to the nearest truck stop, you have a decision to make. If there is a suitable and safe place to park for the night within 2 miles, you can get there without having a violation. Just be sure to keep the truck under 15 miles per hour to avoid registering any driving time. If there is no safe place to park within 2 miles, you will likely register an hours of service violation. You will need to notate this on your logs properly. I will show you how to do this in a moment. Go ahead and depart the receiver. You will automatically be placed in driving status. While you are driving, your Qualcomm will inform you if you have an hours of service violation. Once you are parked for the evening, you will need to put a note on your logs in regards to this hours of service violation. Tap the change button. Tap the SB option for sleeper berth. Now in the note field, type something like had to find safe haven. These types of violations should only happen on rare occasion. Now push the Add Note button to add the note to the status you were in prior to going into the sleeper berth. To complete the status change to sleeper berth, push OK. Next, I will show you how to approve your logs.